I saw Carnage post this tweet, and it made me think a little bit. I guess reminisce a little bit about the past, guys. He's talking a little bit about like Twitch culture and how Twitch has streaming culture has changed over the years. Frankly, I feel like it's kind of crazy how mainstream just live streaming has become. He says, firstly, not qualified in any way, but thanks for thinking about me. He's replying to someone suggesting that Carnage should be the CEO of Twitch, because he would turn it back to the good old days, right? But basically, he said, not qualified in any way, but thanks for thinking about me. Mainly, but there is one important reason I could never lead or help lead Twitch. What I would do is not popular. What I would do, people wouldn't like. What I would do would lose money. What I would do is change the system fundamentally. What I do to Twitch would most likely not work. What does that mean? It means that if it was up to me, Twitch would become about video games again. No IRL, no politics, nothing that isn't directly related to gaming culture in some way. Obviously, we're gonna keep reading here, guys. I will say for myself, I go to Twitch for gaming. In a way, I do miss very much when Twitch was more so about gamers and like nerds and like all that stuff, because it felt like a safe space for like all the nerds. I'm a nerd. The people like playing games and watching games and stuff like that. And it's become so mainstream these days where kids, like, dude, I said this story a few times before, but I went to my cousin's, or like my grandma's birthday, and my cousin was there with her kids. And they were like, oh my god, you're a streamer? Oh my god, I want to be a streamer when I grow up. Do you get PCs for free? Like, kids want to grow up to be streamers. Like, back in the day, like, the people that got big through streaming wasn't really because they wanted to become the big next thing. It was just because they just loved video games and wanted to share it, right? I don't see why both can coexist. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I definitely do agree with that. It'll kind of be impossible to remove them, I suppose. But what Twitch was before it started to woo Amazon with the introduction of IRL, relaxing the broadcast rules, especially around sexual content, etc. I really wish that this would be less so, for sure. Yeah. What I'm saying is, what I would do is not simply feasible. It's not only unfeasible, it's unrealistic to do what I'd want. It's not something I would do. IRL was a Pandora's box, you can't turn it off. You can't disable it. Hell, at this point, I'd argue a huge portion of the platform doesn't even play or care about video games. And that's one way to process. That isn't something you fix. It's not something me or anyone could go in and bring back. And also, to put it bluntly, at this point, there are so many IRL/non-gaming viewers that it wouldn't be right to turn it off. Give me a sec. Twitch isn't about video games anymore. Sure, it has them, but they are no longer the star of the show. They're just another cast member. I don't know. I mean, if you go on Twitch and browse on Twitch, what I do, recommended, viewers high to low. I mean, yeah, you see the section, just chatting 155,000 and IRL 14,000. And essentially a lot of these people, dude, I'm even scared to click it. I'm scared there's gonna be some. Okay, let's click it. But a lot of these people that are doing this just chatting, like this is IRL, right? This here is IRL. That's IRL. Half of these is pretty much IRL. But with that, is that guy playing games? This guy's just playing games in the it's just chatting section. This is what I mean. But like, regardless, there is a ton of these just chatting section and IRL sections, but I would argue that there is still a lot of the old school Twitch here. It's just a lot more niche these days. You have to really search for it. But there is still people gaming, and gaming is still very prevalent, but it is just, yeah, another actor, I suppose, on the thing, right? Wasn't GuzuTV basically the start of all IRL? I don't know fully where it started with IRL and just chatting content, but I do remember back in the early days of Twitch, I don't think this was on GuzuTV, there was very strict rules where, like, you were not allowed to cover a certain amount of the screen with your camera because it had to be gameplay. Obviously, nowadays it's a lot different, and that's probably also why there's a lot more money in it, right? So when people like this, what's my response? I'd much rather someone with resources step up to make the Twitch of old, a streaming site for gamers by gamers. Bring in a term of experienced industry leaders that made streaming what it is. FJ Wiz, Wheat, and make a board of leaders that understands that the focus is casters, games, and viewers. That's it. Keep overhead as low as possible, and the company to keep all the splits as high as possible. Rebuild Paradise in a new format. This seems a little bit like it's such like a pipe dream, right? But it would be awesome. It would obviously be so sick. What's up, lovely Lena? A lot of these gaming or women with huge webcams and whatnot, I mean, that's always been very prevalent, right? That's the future I'd like to see. IRL and all non-gaming content having a consistent home that doesn't go anywhere, the current Twitch, and the core gamers of Twitch having a chance to return to that magical place we used to live in. A place where everybody we see and chat with our shares our passion, a place for gamers. This, I think this still does exist, but you just have to really search for it. And back in the old days of Twitch, it felt like that was the whole platform. That's why I guess like back in the day, it felt like all of Twitch was one big like community, like with like, I don't know, or maybe that's just the communities I followed. It might also be rose-tinted glasses with like, you know, nostalgia and stuff like that. But I don't know, the whole things with Radio Kappa, all the memes and everything like that is a lot more niche these days. And it's really, Twitch has grown so big. It's grown so big these days. It's insane, dude. And it's also a bit scary. I don't know if I want to go too deep into it, obviously, but seeing a lot of the clips from like TwitchCon and the IRL streamers basically like harassing people, I don't know. I really dislike that stuff. I feel like the IRL section is being really misrepresented these days by not so good actors, right? I love Coke and what he does. He's a truly example of what I call a real investor streamer, but this sounds like about bringing gaming back as the star of the show, but I don't think that makes sense for viewers. I mean, he's being pretty realistic about it. He's explaining why it wouldn't work, right? But this is like in his dream what would be, right? Would this be financially feasible? I think so. A streamlined company would allow for higher sub splits, encouraging casters. I feel many game casters would also flock to the site as it could be built with the same features of Twitch but with more gaming angled widgets. On top of that, the lack of I actually don't know what this means. Non-gaming means a beefy enforcement team would make the platform far more attractive to advertisers. I really wish there wasn't as much politics on Twitch as there is. Okay, I'm gonna just keep it a stack, chat. Listen, I don't mind the IRL, like whatever, like I feel like that's also, but like I feel like that's gotten so extreme as well though. I really think it's gotten crazy with it. But I guess it's what works though, right? It's what gets views, it's what gets clicks, right? Like the yeah. I won't watch someone that isn't gaming or talking about games. I mean, you watch for what you watch, right? And then that's what you should, right? I rewatched the VAR. The Cold War quest was so hype. It was really fun. Basically, yeah, it would need some love, but I actually think a new platform would be viable over time. It would be so hard to get people to go away from Twitch, though. I think that's like a fundamental, like, core problem. Bases could fund this themselves and just make it aside to Twitch. But yeah, nothing in this tweet is new. I feel like a lot of us has felt this way over the years. We kind of feel like we lost our home and we want to go home. This is obvious. This here was what he responded to, right? This is where we start a petition to have Code the CEO of Twitch. And it was a response to a tweet here. Hey, Jeff Bezos, if you were to sell Twitch to an interested party that wanted to restore what Bleed Purple means, how much would you want? Like about 350 or thinking more? That's what the response was, right? And then Asmongold says, as one of the prime agitators, yeah, ban politics. I mean, dude, I don't really consume much Asmongold content these days. It's not really for me, but at least he's really self-aware, man. But it's what gets views, right? It is what it is, you know? It is what it is, really. So yeah, he's just talking in advantages of the system, pretty much, and a lot of people are as well, right? It's easy for him to say since he built his empire on YouTube through Twitch now. I mean, obviously, you can always say it after the fact, but still. Yeah, there are also some people here make Twitch about gaming again. Actually, we can keep some of the cool shit like live performances of musicians, but IRL streaming has become such an insane mess. I do agree with this, though. IRL has become so insane, man. Like, especially with all the things going on with TwitchCon and stuff like that, right? And there's a lot of people talking about it too. Did you see Aspen's vid about Twitch? I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of people talking about it. Just chatting section ruined Twitch. But I will say, is this like a big pipe dream? I think in many ways, yes. But why are we talking politics and not gaming? Not really talking politics. I'm just talking about the Twitch landscape. But I think gaming is still very prevalent on Twitch. I don't think it'll ever go back to like what it was, but you can still find a lot of amazing communities and a lot of amazing like streamers that still do what we used to do, but it's just you have to search for it a little bit more, right? Where do you get your sweater from? It's like a Norwegian brand. Only politics that should be matter is Horde versus Alliance and why Horde will always be better. That's true as well. It's not Twitch, it's the whole world that's changed. Everything is more political. It definitely is, and I also think entertainment has just grown so much more and it's becoming so much more prevalent, right? But regardless, I don't know. I just wanted to like vent a little bit of my thoughts about it. I'm really glad that like we still can find people that like are about gaming and about, you know, all those things that Twitch used to be, but I don't think it'll ever be the same, and I don't know if there's ever gonna be like a big change with this, right? Because, as he said, it is like a Pandora's box, but I would love to see it, but yeah. I don't think gaming is where it used to be as well. Gaming has been in a funny way for a while with new releases, so people have moved on to a new meta. There will always be a new meta, right? And people will chase what gets clicks. That's why, like, I guess, like, politics and, like, rage baiting and stuff like that has become so prevalent, because you're trying to clip farm, right?